Happy Tuesday, guys. Another phenomenal training coming at you this morning. Today, I have Jake Roderman with me, and we're going over the 3 no's in insurance. Jake, what are the 3 no's?
You know, you guys might already have an idea, is conserving your energy within the close. I think it's one of the biggest things that agents, especially when they're coming in, you know, really differentiates someone who's, you know, continuing on that path to success versus another person who's maybe halted here. Understanding when to stop and when to conserve your energy.
Cut your ties.
Right, cut your ties with the client, or when to actually continue to move on. And the 3 no's is the first one, most people probably have already figured out within insurance, is not running one-leggers. You want to make sure that both decision makers are there. And I know this is a controversial topic within insurance. Do we not want to run one-leggers? The biggest thing with that is understanding, hey, one decision maker helps with the finances and relies on the other decision maker to feed off of that. Why would we, as an individual who wants to best help that family, provide all of that information to that one individual and trusting that they're gonna relay everything perfect to that significant other?
It's never gonna happen,
right?
It doesn't happen. I'm big on this, where we both agree. I almost never run one-leggers, but the times I did, they would swear up and down. They tell me I'm the decision maker, I make all the decisions, my wife does not need to be present, blah, blah, blah. And then we get to the end and what do they tell me? Well, obviously I need to talk to my wife, right? Think about it. But think about this, guys. Best case scenario, get through the full thing, close it, and you make the sale, but then the spouse comes home or they see a charge on the bank account. They're like, oh, $187, Mutual of Omaha. Honey, what's this? Oh, it's such and such to protect the home, sick, disabled, passed away, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we don't need that. Cancel that. Oh, why are we paying for that? And then all that we need and everything else that you established went away. Thirdly, in addition to that, it's typically when I would wait and sit both spouses, well, usually it'd be twice the AP and twice the commission because I get a his and hers than just for closing one of them.
Exactly.
Always make sure both spouses are present. They're on the same page. And I want to throw a tad bit in there as well. When you're communicating over the phone, it's a lot harder to maintain control and talk about how important maintaining control is with the sale. So make sure you're communicating to both spouses.
100%.
Figure out who's the main decision maker and mainly talk to them, but also make sure that the other spouse is present as well. So, you know, does that make sense, John? Perfect. All right, Mary, any questions from you? Perfect. You guys both still with me? Perfect. Sounds good. Does that all make sense? Any questions so far? Are you using track words like that to make sure they're on the same page?
And to be honest, guys, a key track that I want all of you guys to implement on to actually understand who is the financial decision maker. A lot of the times, agents will say, oh, John, do you make financial decisions with your wife? What do you think that person's gonna say? They're gonna say their biased opinion. Now, if you change it into an assumptive question and you haven't made it a big deal, the human psychology changes. Now, if you try this, where, John, I'm assuming you and your wife, you know, make financial decisions together, right?
Boom.
You see how that's completely different? I even feel like I'm more inclined to say yes. And that's gonna be the entire psychology behind understanding whether or not you are dealing with that financial decision maker. And I really encourage new agents to make sure before you go through that you're really pushing towards understanding the importance of having both of those people. That second no, which is one of the bigger ones for new agents, is making sure that you always have the person write down what's going on. So a lot of the times you never want to text, you never want to email. Jake, can you just email me some of those quotes, Jake? Right? Or Jake, yeah, just text them over to me, honestly.
Guys, don't be a quote slut.
There you go. Well, what does that do, right? I think a lot of agents are like, well, why can't I just send them an email? Like, I might get the sale, right? I'm going to tell you.
I just don't give them the satisfaction.
Right. It's not even the satisfaction, but let me ask you guys this. Imagine if you give someone information, but you have zero education to back it up. What is that person going to do with that? It's completely open to interpretation, right? So when people say, oh, I might get the close, you're never going to get the close because that individual has no rapport built. They don't know who they're buying it from. They don't understand it to the fullness. They can't understand where it would relate into their correlation to their situation. And I read this in a book too. And a human being writes something down. It's cognitive learning. What they're doing is it's allowing that individual to put themselves in the situation. Say, hey, John, go ahead and write down those benefits for me.
Correct.
Right? They're
Correct.
actually physically and mentally focused in that moment with you. They're fully understanding and they're with you. That's why I always tell people, hey, if someone's at work, don't rush the sale. Get them when they're actually at home, when they can write something down, because the last thing you want that person to do is not be attached to the sale at all. So you guys making sure, number one, don't ever send an email, don't ever send a text message, and don't ever rush somebody off the close if they're at work. You always want to make sure that they're writing down, that they're focused, right? Because then you're serving the client the best as well.
1000%. In order to help a client, you must maintain control the entire time. And it's like the analogy I always use, it's like a game of poker where you have the control and you have the leverage up until you show them the quotes. So you better make sure that you did the proper job of building the why, building the need, establishing, making sure everything makes sense. They don't have any questions, and then show them the numbers. Never just rush into numbers. 100%. Jake, what happens? Like, let's say you call me and I'm like, yeah, just give me a quote. I've talked to 8 other insurance guys. I'm just interested in a quote. What are you telling me?
What I tell you? Yeah, John, to be honest, sounds like you may have spoken to, a sales agent in the past. I'm to be honest with you, John, I'm not a quote guy. All right, my job's a lot different. I'll tell people that straight up. I'll say, John, my job's not a quote guy. My job's a lot different. My job is to actually customize a plan for you and your family that's not only going to make sense now, but is going to make sense for the future. Okay? Now go ahead and...
I'm a state licensed medical underwriter. I am not the quote slut.
That's another way of doing that. Yeah.
But yes, that's important.
Right? It's so important. Now, looking at that as well, the third thing, guys, that I want to make sure that you're not doing is don't take no for an answer.
Correct.
Don't take no for an answer. I can't tell you guys how many times someone is hung up on me and I've immediately called them back and I said, John, this is not a sales or a spam call. My name is Jake Ratterman. I'm a medical underwriter within the state, license number, blah, 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 blah. And they listen.
Guys, listen to Jake's tone. It's not just that you call them back. It's your tone and how you're taking control and how you're communicating to the client and portraying yourself.
Right. I tell people time and time again, and it may seem like a broken record, but the biggest thing that differentiates someone who's good and someone who's great is the mentality behind that individual in the sale.
Yes.
So maintaining the level of professionalism, and not only maintaining that in your mind, but also maintaining that in how you carry yourself through the entirety of that close, but how you carry yourself in a day-to-day life. You are a professional. You need to embody that, because if you feel comfortable selling to this individual, you need to feel comfortable selling to your family, to your friends, and that takes a level of professionalism, right? Would you feel comfortable if I sold your mom a policy?
Yes.
Right? Because you know that I embodied that professionalism, and that's how you need to take every single sale.
100%. This was gold. Thank you, bro.
Of course, man.